You know, when we look at data, our eyes are almost always drawn to the biggest, boldest numbers on the chart. It's just human nature. But today, we're going to flip that script. We're going to see how sometimes the most powerful story is actually told by one of the smallest numbers. We're diving into housing supply, and trust me, the real insight is not where you'd expect to find it. Okay, so here it is, a chart showing the housing supply right in the central area. And immediately, you see the giants, right? District 10 and District 09 just towering over everything else with tens of thousands of units. The obvious story here seems to be, wow, this market is absolutely flooded with options. But what if that's not the real story? What if the most important number on this entire chart is actually one of the smallest ones? Let's just ignore those skyscrapers for a minute and look a little closer at the foundation, because there's a much more subtle and, frankly, a way more interesting narrative hiding in plain sight. And this really brings us to our first idea, a tale of two tiers. You've got the giants, and then you've got the pockets. This data basically splits the market into two completely different worlds. So on one hand, you've got the giants. I mean, these are the districts that are just absolutely swimming in supply. We're talking about a sea of options, which creates an incredibly crowded and very competitive landscape. And this slide right here, wow, it puts that scale into some serious perspective. Look at the left, you've got the giants, almost 31,000 units in District 10, over 26,000 in District 09. Now look at the right, at the pockets. District 02 is just a tiny fraction of that, with a little over 4,300 units. That isn't just a gap, it's a canyon. And that's where our story is. So let's do it. Let's put the spotlight directly on one of those pockets, District 2. Because this is where the big, flashy numbers start to fall apart and the real story starts to come out. 4,330. That's the total number for District 02. After seeing figures like 30,000, this number feels, well, it feels tiny, doesn't it? But as you're about to see, even this small number is hiding something. And if we go back to that original chart, you can really see just how small that bar for District 02 is compared to the others. But here's the kicker. Even this number is a little misleading. The real secret isn't in the size of the bar, it's hidden in the text right there beside it. And this is where we get to the fine print. You know, the stuff that tells you what the numbers don't immediately show. This is the part where a simple bar chart gets a whole lot deeper. So check this out. The fine print from the chart itself reveals two game-changing details. First, only 2,362 units are located inside D02 CCR. And second, it mentions that a specific development is the only freehold one in the bunch. So that initial number of 4,330, all of a sudden, the actual supply in the prime part of the district has been cut nearly in half. So what is this CCR they're talking about? Well, it's the core central region. The simplest way to think about it is as the absolute heart of the luxury property market, the most prime, most prestigious real estate in the entire city. Being inside the CCR is what separates just being central from being truly prime, and it means the real supply here is incredibly, incredibly tight. And then you have that other key term, freehold. This is a huge deal. It means you own the property and the land it's built on, outright forever. In a city where so much is built on limited leases, freehold status is exceptionally rare. It's more than a home. It's a legacy asset. Okay, so let's connect all these dots. We've just uncovered 3 different layers of scarcity, one on top of the other. Now, let's see how they all stack up to create a situation that is truly one of a kind. So here's the whole story. The situation in District 02 isn't about just one thing. First, you start with one of the lowest total supplies in the whole central area. Then you learn that an even smaller piece of that is located inside the super prime core central region. And then, the cherry on top, layered over all of that, you have a development that is uniquely freehold. You see, each point just compounds the scarcity. So what does this all mean? It means that this combination of factors, really low supply, a top-tier location, and that super rare freehold ownership, creates a market dynamic that's completely unique. It's a tiny pocket of extreme scarcity that's hidden inside a market that, at first glance, looks totally saturated. And this really brings us to a final question, one that goes way beyond just this one chart. In a sea of supply, where's the real value actually found? Is it in the big, bold numbers that grab all the attention? Or is it hiding in the fine print, the little details that reveal true scarcity? It's a good reminder to always look a little deeper. Thanks for tuning in.